Welcome to another episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. It's your favorite baby daddy, AJ. And today we're going to get into a topic that, if you've been following me on social media, it's a topic that I've really gotten into within the past 2 years. I'm not good at it. Which is golf, right? And I love golf because I feel like golf is to really become a family sport that I can do because I'm never going to be running around playing basketball with Jet anymore. Like these days are done. I can do it a little bit, but I'm not gonna be honest with everybody. I'm scared to jump. Like I'm scared to jump because if you hear me like move around and everything, you ever been around me when I squat down, my knees crack, my ankles move, my shoulders are bad. So like if I land, I feel like I'm gonna land and I'm gonna break something. So I feel like golf is perfect for me. And for that, I'm gonna have my man, Mr. Russ Green, president. Is it president and founder?
Founder, co-executive director. Yeah, any title.
The man, put it like this, the man behind the HBCU Golf Tournament, Mr. Russ Green. Appreciate you for being on the show, fella.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you reaching out. Would love to spread the good word about the gospel of golf and community wellness.
Yeah, but while we're going to get into golf, this show is all about fatherhood, right? And so we're going to start you off the same way we start off all of our guests. What does being a father mean to you?
Transparency and authenticity, radical acceptance and accountability. I think that's the main thing. You know, a lot of what you think about what you'll become as a father is most of like your own things that you're trying to correct from your experience with your dad, or things that you want to do over, or things that you admire about your father that you're trying to enact in your own life and your children's life. But what you realize very quickly is you're raising individuals, and they may not have the same experiences you do. So it's really just about being present and being available for them and being a vessel, a custodian, a coach, a mentor, a good listener, you know what I mean? A counselor, a nurturer. You know, when you are, I'm not sure what your situation is, but, I'm a co-parent. So when you're living in separate households, sometimes you have two different philosophies about how you raise children. And, the kids go back and forth. And that can be a lot of, for the children, provide a lot of overwhelm. So a lot of it's just being understanding and patient and recognizing that, some kids don't want you to be the cool dad. They need you to be the dad that's got the shit together. Or for the other kid, they may want you to just be the dad that plays Nintendo Switch. You know what I'm saying? Or tells them to do their homework all the time. So it's just showing up moment to moment the best way you can, as your full self.
When you said in raising individuals, that means more than one child. So how many children for the audience?
Yeah, I have 4 children. My oldest is 18, then they stair step down, 16, 12, and 10. I love them all in their own special ways, as who they are. But it's a gaggle of kids. It's more than enough. Keeps my hands full.
Yeah, that 18 and 10, that age gap, I'm in that same boat with well, mine's are going to be 19 and 10, I think. Yeah,
Congrats.
well, I'm having 8. No, well, they're nowhere close right now. One is 10 and one is 11. I got 10, 11, and 2. So I got a long way to go.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
I'm still in the thick of the nonsense, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
I'm
To your
very much in the thick of the
terrorist.
nonsense. Oh my gosh. Like I had to put it to sleep before I could even start this. Like it was a lot. I mean, it is a whole thing. So when you talk about you as your journey as a father, where do you get your parenting skills from? Like who'd you say your major influence was as a father?
Making it up as I go along. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of it is watching my peers who I think are great dads. A couple of my best friends are really present in their kids' lives, and they're involved with everything they do, and they're those parents that talk about their children incessantly, like about like all their accomplishments or all their like foibles. They're just very, like I said, transparent about how much is required of them, for each child, and the kids they have to worry about and the kids that they don't, and the way that they show up, the way that they celebrate them. So a lot of that is just like emulation, which I don't think is different from a lot of people. We kind of emulate, who we admire. But I would say most of my journey as a father when I started was trying to not be my dad. And that's a terrible way to try to parent, because it's not about the kids, it's about yourself. and you project in and, kind of forecasting like, the type of kid they'll be based on, your relationship with your dad. And my relationship with my dad was largely tumultuous. So, that wasn't in the early part of my father, that wasn't fair to my kids. You know what I mean? Um, but a lot of like my journey to like heal and recover from like what my experience with my dad is, I think it's really what made me the dad I am. I would say I'm um part George Carlin and part Heathcliff Huxtable. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So let me ask you this: with that relationship with your dad, did that make you want to have children and start your own family so you can create your own type of bond or relationship, or was that turned you off to the point where like kids ain't really something that I want to do?
No, I've always loved children. I've always wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be a father more than I wanted to be a husband.
Yeah. Listen, I don't mean to cut you off a lot. You are not alone. You said a lot with that. And I think that needs to be stated more. Like people don't say that out loud. And it's not the right way we supposed to do things, but it's just the truth. Like I know a lot of women may like dream of both. Like they dream of like the wedding and the mom. But like I'm like you, I always wanted to be a dad. I never really thought about being a husband though. I
Yeah,
never thought about that part.
I think that I think that a lot of us recognize, just like you said, with, people who think about the wedding. That's The wedding has nothing to do with your marriage or the sacrifice that a marriage requires, or even like a wedding is a moment. It's like one day or perhaps a weekend, whereas a marriage can last a lifetime, and over a lifetime you become several different people. You're constantly growing and evolving. The person that you love today may not be that same person in 7 years, 10 years and 20, 40 years. And then, all sorts of things happen to you when you're in your 40s. Like I lost my father 6 years ago. The person I was 6 years ago is nowhere near the person I am today. And a lot of that was like dealing with the grief of losing my dad, as painful as our relationship was. So yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. I think that ultimately the reason I was so excited about being a dad is recognizing that's the one relationship that like all you really want is the best for them. You don't really want anything from them. That's the only place that you'll show up when you're completely selfless. You know what I mean? Like in every other relationship you occupy, maybe outside of like a best friend, you're not really asking for them for anything from them. You just want to show up. You just want to be there. And I just remember like, I've taught all my kids how to ride a bike, you know, the proper way to swing, how to read. I'm saying like things that I think are critical. I just like I loved seeing like children develop and like be little sponges and like form their own opinions about things and their personality. I don't know. Being a dad is dope as shit. It's exhausting, but it's also
Mm,
dope.
it's very, very much so exhausting. And you said you're co-parents, so are they all with the same mom? And if not, how do you make sure you foster their relationship
Yeah,
with each other?
my co-parent was my college sweetheart. I'm an alpha. She was an AKA. We met when we were 21 and 20 years old. When we were effectively children. We were married like maybe 6 years later. Started having kids like 6 years after that. Um, she's been in my life more. She's been in my life most of my life at this point. So, divorce is hard on everybody. And, we went through our struggles and challenges trying to find, appropriate ways to communicate the whole like family counseling and marriage counseling and all this stuff. Really trying to develop those tools and skills to be able to negotiate without, bringing weapons to the negotiation. But I would say, a lot of I think what people have to experience when they divorce and they have to, still be within each other's lives, it's just reaching some form of understanding about like how we're going to show up. Like, what are we going to facilitate the children in our conversations? Are we going to talk about like life? Are we still going to be friends? And I think a lot of that stuff like works itself out over time once that like the bitterness and disappointment of, you know, ending a relationship and watching that relationship change and reassert itself in a different way. You know what I mean? Like we both have, other people in our lives, other lovers and, special someones. So, watching that evolution and getting us to a place where we're like, planning birthdays. Like it's like Quincy Jones said, you know what I mean? You're always going to be in each other's lives. You're going to still be doing Christmas together, Thanksgiving, birthdays, graduations, funerals. Now, that stuff doesn't go away because, ultimately we're a family. And families, sometimes have struggles.
So how were you able to transition? How was that with the kids?
It was hard, man. It was hard at first because, the kids are disappointed. I think they talk about like in in trauma or childhood trauma, divorce is one of the like largest factors to traumatic experience in childhood. Because you're seeing something that you thought was permanent, like disassembled and fractured. So a lot of it was really just letting them know that, regardless of what is going on with me and your mom's relationship, we're both here in your lives. We'll always be in your lives. And, our relationship may not look the same, but we're still a family. And ultimately, we want the best for you all. And that may look different in terms of how we get there. So, each kid took it a different way. I would say it was hardest on my two oldest because we had parented them the longest. My youngest was 4 when we separated. So for her, it was like, why do you live here and why do you live there? And for my oldest, it was just like, Daddy, I'm so upset with you, you know, or Daddy, I don't want you to leave. Those are much different conversations. And that's, again, about transparency, like how you show up for each kid as an individual. And I had to really do a lot of work around holding space for my kids to tell me like how they felt, about what was happening. For some of them, it required therapy and treatment. For others, it just required, me being accountable. I didn't want to be that baby daddy, even though I hate that term. I didn't want to be that baby daddy that was like, promises to show up and doesn't. Like, you know, I feel like divorce is breaking your kid's heart in a way. And I didn't want to, break their hearts again. I'm sure I've broken their hearts in different ways. Like, no, you can't have this video game or this ice cream.
Yeah. Right. But something real, right?
But this
And
is
so
real. Yeah. Like, I'm not, I remember I moonlight as a comedian. So, the nights where the kids come over for my week and then I'm out the door to go do a show. And I get a call from my son, like, Daddy, where are you at? What time are you getting home? You know what I mean? I don't like to be here, by myself. Those are like real conversations I didn't have to have before. And so it's like figuring out all those dynamics.
so let me ask you this. How because I've spoken on this before that one of the things that really changed me was when my daughter said, you're gonna leave like you always leave. And that just threw me to pieces, right? Emotionally, how did you deal with the fact of your daughter saying or your children saying to you, I don't want you to go, but you understand that they're children. They can't understand everything that's going on, but you still have to deal with that and take it. You got to put on the front, and not necessarily a front, but we have to put on a face because we have to maintain a strong sense and a strong look in front of our children at all times, right? But when they tell you something like that, I know it inside it breaks you a little bit. So how do you deal with that part?
So wait, what's the question? Like, what did she say?
When she said that to you, when she was talking about she doesn't want you to leave, emotionally, how did you deal with that?
I mean, it was, I'll say it's worse than a breakup because, yeah, I knew her heart was broken. I was talking to my sister about this and she said that, when you're a child, you look at your parents as like gods, you know what I mean? And so like when I think about how our relationship has evolved, when you first put your kids in daycare and you go pick them up after school, they'll knock other children over trying to get to you. you
I
know,
just did it today. Just happened today.
or like I remember like picking up my kid from daycare and they like threw whatever was in their hands like up in the air. Now, sometimes I like tell my daughter I love her and she'll be like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like it just depends on the day. That night was very hard because I talked to my co-parent, several months before. I think I told her that I wanted to end our relationship in maybe like June or July. And then I think I had that conversation with my kids in September. And we had talked about the date I was going to move out. And so we sat them down and I said, it was jacked up, but she was like, this is your decision. So you have to do this on your own. So, instead of the kids, and she sat there and, I told them, that mommy and daddy are not going to be a couple anymore, and we're ending our marriage, and daddy will be moving out in about a month um, to a new place. You guys may have to go to different schools. This is what's going to look like. We're thinking about doing. Initially, we were like, I had the kids on the weekends, and I think I was a bit like extending like way too much grace in the beginning. And, I would only have the kids on the weekends. And I realized like, wait a second, like we're sharing the responsibility of parenting, and I wanted these children. So, I'm not one of those, like, I want the children so that this check looks different. I want, I want to be a dad. You know what I'm saying? I like being a dad, so, in full transparency and vulnerability, that was a really hard conversation. I remember sitting on the bed with her and just holding her, and just telling her, I'm like, I would never leave you. I'm not leaving you. I'm ending this relationship with your mother. But, this is, I'm going to be in your life for as long as I can. And I'll find a way to, um, help you heal through this, and I remember like, that's when shortly after I moved out, I started doing something called one-on-ones. I would, tell the kids to pick something that they want to do. And we'd plan out that whole like day or evening together. And it was just about us because what I knew was important. Because even though, like, even when I was struggling with my relationship with my dad, when he was outside of the house, or more so outside of the role of like husband and father, he was a cool nigga. You know what I'm saying? He liked to drink, he liked to tell jokes and talk shit. He had interesting stories because he had such like a rich background, like being in the military, growing up in the South, going to the Midwest, the Great Migration, being the first one in college, being an alpha. Like, he had stories. And so I realized like that's where I got to recognize him as an individual. And so I realized it was a real opportunity for my kids to, get to know me and me to get to know them in that same way, you know, figure out their interest. And so that's where I really focused and buckled down on my like intention. But that first year, because I ended our marriage in 2019, so that next year was COVID. So,
Yeah.
so that shit was like doubly real. You know what I mean? But I'm really thankful for it now, grateful for it now, because it gave me nothing but time and opportunity to really like dig in and spend quality time with my kids. Something we started doing right away was cooking. And this is like a G move for all parents out there. If you really want to get to know your kids, cook with them. You teach them a life skill. You learn how they how they address process, and like you learn whether or not they're patient, the things that they enjoy. You learn how to communicate with them, how you work together, like, and collaboratively as a team, what they like to eat. Whether or not they want to wash the dishes. Like, so the thing that we did was during that whole pandemic year, we tried to perfect our pancake recipe from scratch.
Okay. Okay.
So we do that, like, and then we just started doing like different recipes because we were all cooking ass Negroes during the pandemic.
It's at home.
Yeah. So there's that, and it was playing a lot of board games, or we went for a lot of hikes because we live near Rock Creek Parks. Um, it was real pure quality time. It was almost like we were sharecroppers again. You know what I'm saying? And I used that time to really work on my relationship with myself and my relationship with them. I think that's where it all came together. I remember on one-on-one, I went out with my daughter. I think she was 11 at the time. And she said, we went out this is back when they started loosening the COVID restrictions. So we both had our cards, and we went to this Italian restaurant she picked. You remember that shit? You had to get your permission slip.
You had to have your card to go out. Man, COVID was a time. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So I was still like largely shook, you know what I mean? Because I refused to like let my kids get sick. So we would always sit near the window at the restaurant with the windows open. And, she's, a little lady, and ordered her meal. And we just started talking. And I remember, when you're just like that, trying to impart life lessons, dad, versus when you're just having a conversation with them and their personality comes out and they start laughing and cracking jokes. Um, we were experiencing that. And then on the ride home, she was on her phone, and I was like, "What's up, baby? You're not being present." And she was saying that I was talking to someone, and they said that when you have a really special moment, you should record it in your phone. And that really touched me, man. Had me like choking up. And I realized, like, we were doing that work. I was doing the work. And that's what a lot of, I think, parenting really is. A lot of repairing relationships really is. It's like doing the work, showing up, even when you're scared, even when you're broken. Like you said something earlier about like trying to be strong all the time. I don't try to be strong all the time. That shit will wear you out. There's times when it's silly to be strong. There's times when it makes sense to shed a tear. And I want to have the full spectrum of emotions available to me. I don't want to be a one-dimensional dad, just that no dad or the angry dad, scary dad. That was my dad. I wanted to be, or I want to be someone who's very present, who's very transparent, and who shows up as his full self so that my kids have permission to do the same.
I mean, my kids know I'm a crier with certain stuff. Well, they see me cry once, but they saw me cry at my grandmother's funeral
Oh, I'm sorry, bro.
when I would speak there. It freaked them out a little bit, but but yeah, but you do cooking with your kids, but you also golf with your kids.
Oh, hell yeah. Golf is the major key because, man, golf is it's a beautiful game because, it's the game of life, really. But even if you don't like it, which many, many people do not, it's just being outside, you know, driving around a cart, trying to get better. Like, spend that, you spend hours on a golf course. It's impossible not to get to know somebody out there. Everybody wears masks, but I would hope, with your children, you're not wearing a mask. And with my kids, a lot of it is just getting to know who they are and seeing how they face adversity. Like my
Oh yeah, oh yeah, because it's a frustrating thing. Is this something that y'all have been that y'all had always been doing? Or was that something that started with COVID as well, playing golf?
No, with the kids, it started during COVID. I started playing golf almost 20 years ago, through the corporate track. I was at Booz Allen at the time, and my mentor, he was like a advisor at the firm, and he mentioned golf. And maybe like 10 years before that, Tiger had won the Masters, but it was like that was interesting to
Yeah,
me because he was black, but it
right.
wasn't interesting to me because he was a square. You know what I'm saying? He wore like pleated pants. You know what I mean? Like Tiger was a dork. Yeah.
He was black. He was blackish at the time. Yeah, yeah. No, but we had to claim him though.
Well, it just wasn't that. But like in 1997, you know, it was like Tiger Woods and Allen Iverson. It was like two different worlds.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, no, it's not even. It's no.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna. We're not even gonna talk about that. It's not even close. It's AI all day, and like
Right.
with
So it's like
water. Like it's not even. Yeah.
if I'm gonna be this like penultimate like athlete, which one am I more like inclined, to?
Oh yeah.
And Tiger,
Well, it's not even a question.
but also I think that's like really the cultural conditioning of golf. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a colonial sport, which means it came to the Americas in the 1600s as part of like slavery and imperialism. You know what I'm saying? It was imposed on other nations and indigenous communities. So like this is against people's will. It was built on courses on top of like indigenous burial grounds and like, enslaved people's burial grounds and former people's cities. And it's a very vile sport historically. And they always have tried to keep black people out. But you can't build nothing in this country without black hands.
Mm.
The first golf tee was created by a black man, a black dentist, from Harvard at that. So for me, it's like golf has always been something that we have to reclaim. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to really like gift to my kids is like space, time, and opportunity. A lot of my healing journey was on the golf course, and I wanted the kids to know like this is a place you can come when you need peace. You know, like when you want to do something fun. Of course, like those like stories go in your head about like this will give you so much access and you go to any college you want to and you'll always get a good job. But then I turned into like Dame Dash, like this is Dame Dash on this shoulder. And Dame Dash is like, no, why you want your kids to go to some white man begging for a job when they could create their own? You know what I'm saying?
So like the job thing is kind of why I started playing golf, to be honest. And it's the white man golf thing is to be. I was at a like a Top Golf out here. I was at Rudy's out here. And I was out there and I was like, man, how are all of these people here in the middle of the day,
Yes.
like just doing this, right?
Yes.
And then I sat back and I looked at myself and said, I am these people. Like, I literally am these people. I'm able to do this. My lifestyle can accommodate me being able to do this. And I'm going to put myself in these circles around the same type of people that can do the stuff that I can do. Like, I should not think of myself as these are the golf people. Like, no, I'm that people. Like, there's nothing they can do that I can't do except for hit the ball. That part I'm not quite doing yet. But outside of that, like, yeah, that was my thing when I got into it.
Yeah, I would say that's most people's thing. Because again, that's like how it's marketed to us. It's like this elite affluent sport. But I had the benefit and like the privilege, honestly, of buying my first house in Baltimore City. So in Baltimore City, it's a different type of town than DC. People are more like salt of the earth. So there's this course there called Carroll Park. It was built in, I want to say 1924. And Black people had to like organize and mobilize and lobby to be able to play on it. But because it's a course in a city that's real, there were folks playing out there in like jeans and t-shirts. You know what I mean? And hitting that ball like a country mule. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was like all that elitism, like collar shit with those like wingtip shoes, that was just dumb to me.
I don't do that part.
Like the part of golf that I love is it humbles everybody. It's a great equalizer. And so for me, it's like, it's the only sport where you can like be with you like competing with somebody and also cheering for them. You know what I'm saying? Like when they hit a good shot, you're like, oh, goddamn, look at that.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
And for me, like, kids learn stuff so naturally. Like they learn so they're like little sponges. They learn so quick and they're not as hard on themselves. So to see my kids like get good right away was really awesome. They all have like their own unique like swings. My oldest has a very unorthodox swing, but it's effective. It goes into the middle of the fairway. My son, he has a natural like baseball swing, and he gets frustrated when he's not good. My daughter, she's surprised at every good shot she makes, but she's got the discipline though. Like she will work at it until she gets it right. And my 16-year-old, she don't care. She don't love the game at all, but she loves to spend time with her daddy. And so my secret with her is like I go get her a hot dog or get her some candy, and then we can just talk for a couple hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my biggest thing about it. Like, my son does not like it. I said, okay, I don't care. You're going to be in first tee. You're going to be taking it less. You're going to do all of it because 20 years from now, I have my foursome together. Okay. It's me and you three. I don't care what else you have going on in life. I don't care if you got families. They can just go to the side for at least one weekend, or they can come too. But that 4 hours for that one day a year, I just need us. And that's why I wanted to get into it. But you took it from more than just your family. You extended it to the HBCU family. What made you decide to do that?
My divorce, bro. Like so, I moved out that October, right? And that first year, 2019, when I moved out, that first like 3-day weekend, when I moved into my apartment, from my family home, that was sad as shit, dog. And I was like, I am not spending another 3-day weekend like this. So, but of course, that next 3-day weekend was COVID. So we anticipated that, homecoming was going to be canceled, because of all the quarantines and mandatory stay-at-home orders. And what we recognize is you can't cancel homecoming because you can't isolate people from communities. That's deeply unhealthy. And we need that time. Like HBCU family, like we're all cousins. We
Yeah.
like to beef when we got our when we rival with each other, but at the end of the day, we're all family. We ride hard for all 100 HBCUs. So at the time, like that, I think they opened up golf back in like May of 2020, and that was like everybody was running to it, and just like everybody else, I was running to it with my fellas in my book club. We were all black dads. We called ourselves the Golf Negroes. But I recognized I was being another like patriarchal dude and not inviting women out. So I started inviting women out, and it was just like, I was playing with sisters that, wore no shoes or just like came out there and, in like a sundress, you know what I mean? And it just changed the whole feel of the game. And we're far better, like didn't like, debase or abuse themselves when they hit a bad shot. They're like, oh, well, I'll just drop another one. And it was just like, just that energy was just so different. And so I realized like, there needs to be more black women on the course. I hated, I would bring a woman with me to the course and she'd be the only black woman there. The only. And I thought that was crazy. So I talked to the fellas, like, let's plan a tournament. And I was doing a lot of work with this organization, Men Stopping Violence, where my therapist was the executive director at the time. And I was like, we can tie the funding to that organization, and we can tie it to my sister's place in DC. And we raised like $4,000 in like 3 weeks and had like, I think over 80 people there. And the next year we raised like 10 times as much. And so for me, it was really just creating community-based programs in the interest of community wellness. Intimate partner violence and domestic violence is a problem that we can solve because we're the people perpetrating it. It's not like other men are storming into our houses, beating up women and cussing them out.
Yeah, right.
That's
You're
us.
right.
And so for me, having a history of abuse, having been abused in childhood and then becoming abusive as an adult in my own relationships, I know I had a lot of work to do. And I had been doing that work over years through therapy and treatment and atonement and acknowledgement, um, and group and just all sorts of spaces, where people go for healing. And a lot of what I think faces men who are perpetrators of violence is this fear and shame of being exposed and being like cast out. Men are very, very tribal people. We are very, very tribal people. And what I recognized as I started to tell my story is it gave other people license to tell their stories and see themselves in that story. And it also gave them license to heal, like permission to do better. And what I thought was going to be me being very much like isolated from my community became people like opening their arms to me. And so I wanted that for everybody else. Like, we don't have to live in silence and shame. That's what we all learned in the pandemic. We suffer in isolation. And so, golf became a real space to bring people together. And also, like, I thought what's so groundbreaking about golf is like, because it's so hard and because it humbles everybody and because it breaks you down, it's almost impossible to be fake after you play around a golf. And so that space is really like awesome to build a relationship. And I thought it was just really if nothing else, Black people deserve a space to gather together in community. And that's what it really is for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree because that's one thing I do enjoy is getting together with my friends. And like you say, more women on the course. My homegirl that I go with is about maybe 15 or 20 strokes better than me. And we start at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not funny. Like it's really fucking frustrating, to be honest. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like she needs to change the tees. It's not fair.
Yeah.
It's really not fair. It's either that or I'm gonna change my tees and start hitting from like the women's tees because I'm not liking it. I don't like it at all.
Well, even like take the patriarchy out of it. It's called the forward tees. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, a lot of what we recognize, especially men when we play the game is this ego. Like that's what we're really trying to confront out there is our ego. Some of the best rounds I ever played was from the forward tees because
Well,
you take the edge off. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I don't need this driver. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not accurate with my irons, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, that's why I don't play from the tips. You won't catch me there. I can barely get out the tee box as it is. I could barely get out the tee box as it is.
No, you was all right. You was all right when we played at Sligo, man. I don't know why you're trying to be humble on this
Because
podcast.
that was one shot. Was it? I remember I hit one shot out the first tee box and never did anything else again. So with your kids getting into it, is it something that y'all have talked about like, hey, this is important that we want to continue? Because as they progress and they stop being under necessarily your wing, they're gonna start going into their own life. Is it something that you would like to continue with them ongoing or how is that?
Yeah, I would say selfishly, golf is one of those sports you can play whether you're 8 or 80. You know what I'm saying? So selfishly, like, I would want to play with my kids, until my last days. You know what I mean? But what I recognize is, they have to want to do. Kids have to want to do something to excel at it. Like they have to want it on their own. So, three of my kids, actually two of my babies, there's no question. If I'm mentioning golf, they're going. My son, he can take it or leave it. It's got to be the right scenario. Like that other video I posted to him, like that's really his truth. His truth is if you get him breakfast and he plays well, he has the time of his life. But if you don't do those things, if those things don't happen, then it's going to be a mess for the
I
rest of
hate it. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If nothing else, this is me being fully transparent. Is I have 4 children, and that's a perfect foursome, and I would want them to have that space to have for each other. Um, when I'm far gone from here, a place where they can just, play as a team with each other and be outside and connect and bond. But if that's not what they want, that's not what they want. I think it's a beautiful game to pass on to everybody because it's a space and time for you to be outside, you know, and to work on yourself, to let things go, to hit a bad shot and get over it. You know what I mean? That's what life is. You make your choices, you commit. Sometimes the shit doesn't work out, but you keep moving forward. You know what I'm saying? Next shot.
Even if you gotta go sideways a little bit.
Yeah.
Work your way through the trees. You'll find your way and figure it out.
That's it.
I'm thinking about I wouldn't mind doing something like for Father's Day next year. Like I really thought about that. Like maybe doing some golf related for Father's Day next year. Something with the podcast. Like I don't know what or where, but I had sponsors and everything. I thought about it maybe last year, but then Father's Day came and I didn't even have my kids, so that was a wash. But yeah, I think next year, I'm saying it now. Next year, I'm going to end up doing something. I'm going to end up doing a golf tournament, a Father's Day golf tournament somewhere in the DC area.
Well, let me tell you
That
right
is
now, Father's Day
definitely going to
is
happen.
the busiest golf day of the year.
Yeah, I know. I was told. I was told when I tried it last year. So I don't know where it's going to happen, but I could try to find somewhere.
Yeah, ironically, it's Father's Day and Juneteenth are the two busiest golf days of the year.
Juneteenth is a busy. Well,
As soon as they made that motherfucker a national holiday, you thought they did it for us, bro? Nope.
yeah. I just thought about it. Like, yeah, they could not wait. Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. You thought we cared about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I might do one. I might do one the weekend before or after Father's Day. Like call it for the dads.
Yeah.
Figure something out. Yeah.
You know what I would say in the beginning when we first did our tournament in 2020, a lot of what we did was, with our own ideas, but I would say lean on the groups that are existing. So like that time was a special time in golf because there were so many groups emerging. You know what I mean? Like Queens on the Green started in that time. Baltimore Black Horse started at that time. Ladies Golf Club, City Girls, like all of those groups started around the same time. And it's because like we needed community, we needed each other. And that's what's so special about Black people is we always seek community. We always seek one another. And my homegirls calls it the way of the Negro. Like we're always looking to heal and to touch and agree. So I would say there's definitely other dads out there looking to do stuff like that. And there's a group that I really adore and admire. They're called the Daddy's Strollers Club.
Oh yeah, they had something. I was gonna do something with them. That was last weekend,
Yo, they are
but I
dope.
didn't have my kids. Listen, man, I'm gonna tell you, I ain't gonna even lie about it. I am all about all dad stuff. I am there a lot, but when there's weekends I don't have my kids, trying to catch me at a dad event. Unless I'm unless I'm talking or something, man, just like popping up. I'll go to a little league football game for like my homeboys' kids or like stuff like that. But just me going to just be around a bunch of dads and kids I don't know, like that's a hard sell for me. I'll be lying if I ain't faking it. Like I'll be like, yeah, I'm super dad. No, I'm not that. I'm not that. I would love if I would have had my daughter with me that weekend. I would have definitely loved to have gone to the dad shoulder club event. But
You know,
without my daughter, just me popping up as just a dad. Without none of my kids, just like, hey, I'm here too. Like, nah, I'm okay.
I just want to be around your kids. It's not weird
Yeah,
at all.
like yeah, like no, no. I would have had my kids down there. We would have got interviews and all kinds of stuff, asking those, what do you feel like to be a dad? All those questions. Like, yeah, but they weren't here. But
No, I'm with
I
you,
do
bro.
like that group. I
I'm
really
with
do
you,
like
bro.
that
Like
group.
when the week that I'm off, if you will, um, I love time with myself and time with the lady I love or time with, my crew, time to tell these jokes, time to work on the foundation. Cause, when I have my kids, I mean, like I said, it's exhausting, bro. Like, I got to run 4 different kids at 4 different schools. You know what I mean? I got to, make sure they're all doing their homework, getting them all their activities, like cooking, we cook 80-90% of the meals, you know what I mean? So cooking all the meals and like making sure that, they actually done the things they told me they were going to do. You know what I mean? And then waking up at 5 a.m. and doing it all over again, like it's
Well, I got
exhausting.
I got two more things before I get you out of here. There's two questions. One, you talk about those tasks that you're doing. How much help and support has it been knowing that you now have a partner to help you with that?
Oh, what do you mean have a partner? Like the lady I love?
Yeah.
Well, I am blessed to have a really wonderful woman in my life. She does not want any children. She does not want to get married. She does not want to, live together. So it's really like a
Oh,
blessing. But she loves children so much. She was an educator for years and she was a school counselor as well. And so she really like carves out time on the calendar for special events with the kids. Like this Monday, she's already got plans for the children. You know what I mean? Like last summer and in August, I had comedy shows that whole weekend and we were supposed to fly out to Cali. So she flew my kids out to Cali, to my brother's house, without me. So she's, it's a blessing to have someone like that in your life. You know what I mean? But also I would say, and I know you know this, my village is really strong. Like the black auntie crew. I could not do this without my sister. My sister she is Wonder Woman when it comes to these kids, like her nibblings. She shows up for them all the time. She spoils them rotten. She talks to them as if they're like other adults. And she's like fully vested in their lives and texting them up
yeah.
all in their social media and make sure their like hair is on point when I didn't know how to do a two-strand twist or a flat twist. She was getting me
Hmm.
together while getting them together. My mom, their grandmother, their Gigi, she's awesome. They have a great mom who wants to do everything with them. She wants them to all to be their best friends. So, and her sister, their auntie is really great. They're always over their cousin's house. So I have a really strong village. So it would be impossible to do that, without that. I couldn't imagine, like, I would never call myself a single parent because that's just not my reality. I'm not doing this alone. But my heart goes out to all single parents because I've seen what that's like. My cousin went through that. She had a dude in her life, and then she had a baby, and then that dude moved to Namibia. You know what I'm saying? That shit is hard, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody because kids, especially in this culture, I think it's really fucked up. Is that they try to convince you you're supposed to raise kids alone, but this country is very like focused on like individualism, but that's not our culture. Our culture is of community. Like, I remember going to my friend's house on a bike. My kids don't do that.
Yeah.
We lost
Yeah.
that. That part of that, yeah, that part is weird. My parents talk about like everybody in the neighborhood could whoop their ass if they cut up. That's because we were raised in a culture of community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like we were accountable, and everybody was accountable to you being the best that you could be because we really invested in the future generations. And so I don't want to see that lost. And so I definitely want to acknowledge like the people in my village to help me raise these children.
Okay. And one more thing to get you before we get you out of here.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
talked about how when you're gone, you would love for the kids to continue on with their foursome, even though you're not around.
yeah.
But before we get to that point, while you're still here, I want to know what would you want your legacy as a father to be?
Legacy. I don't know. I don't know that I think about legacy. Because I think that's ego. What I want for my kids is to live healthy, abundant, joyful lives and for them to be decent human beings who are really invested in the service of others. Because that's why we're here. We're here to help each other. And if I can impart all the wisdom and, guidance and knowledge that I have while I'm here to them, that's what I guess in terms of a legacy I would want. I want to teach them life skills and I want them to feel not only capable of handling themselves in situations, but also like recognizing when they need to ask for help and support and not being too proud. I want them to be very loving and open and genuine people and living like fully authentic lives. I want them to trust and believe in the abundance of their universe. And I want them to be like rooted and grounded, but also want them to know that they are, of the stars and constellations. They're far beyond this finite space we call our world. We're connected to all things. I want them to be all they can be. And I don't know if
Yeah.
that has to do with like my legacy, but if they got that from me, then so be it. I want them to enjoy the time they have in this in this earthly vessel on this plane. And I want them to, when they think about me, I want them to think about me fondly.
That's a great way to put it. That is a great way to put it. You want to be loved fondly. I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah.
All right, that's important. That's very important. Hey man, again, so if you can, you can give out your social media handles and everything about the golf tournament. If you want to send that out here now as well.
Yeah. So, okay, here's the thing. So, Bison Impact Group brings Black community to golf to build healthy relationships. And we do that through a community-based golf programming. We have 3 major programs. The first that we're most known for is our HBCU Golf Tournament. That's Friday, October 10th at Needwood Golf Course this year. It always brings over 150 Black people, HBCU alumni, and PWI too. A lot of the PWI kids get their feelings hurt, but it's not like that. As long as you are Black and you want to play golf, you are welcome. All of our programming is designed for Black people that are new to golf, so you don't have to have any experience or equipment. We get you all the way together. And we have avenues to get you from that elementary level that you may be at now to elite level. And that's through our big boot camp that's held every Saturday at Lake Presidential Golf Course in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. And on Sundays, we have Soulful Sundays. That's the other thing we're well known for in this region, which is our weekly golf clinic and 9-holes outing. And we do that in 2 locations, Sligo Golf Course in Silver Spring and Langston Golf Course in Northeast DC. We do them at both locations every Sunday at 8 a.m. And also our third program is called Skip Day for kids and caregivers. This is an annual program held in April, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. All of our programming is aligned with awareness months, because that's where our mission is focused on stopping violence against women and children. So if you want to learn more about our programming or us, you can go to our website, Bison Impact Group, like the howardbison.org, or go to our Instagram at HBCU Golf Tournament.
And I'm gonna tell you, by the end of this, there's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna be interested in wanting to golf.
I hope so, man. It's a beautiful game.
Beautiful game. Frustrating as hell.
When you coming back out, bro? You haven't been around. I'm not gonna call you out on your own pod, but come on.
No. I mean, I've been around. I just haven't been out there at 8 a.m. there. I've been let me see, I've been at East Potomac.
Yeah.
But I'm in Virginia. That's the thing.
Okay.
I'm in Alexandria. I gotta pass 3, 4, 5 good courses to get to the other one.
Are you near Jefferson Davis?
I passed there to get to where I'm at. Yeah, I'm not far from Jefferson Davis. I'm right by Greendale, and I'm right up the street from Pinecrest.
Yeah, we're looking at Jefferson Davis because we have a handful of people out in VA in Alexandria.
Go there. Yeah. I will be there.
Well, you can start it. You want to be our Jefferson Davis campus captain, that is?
Sure.
You going to be there at 8 a.m.?
Yeah, just don't expect me to teach anybody anything.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing I would say about that. When you go play golf and you're not good, everybody's going to give you some tips.
Yeah. Everybody. Be careful who you listen to, too.
Right, but that's the best thing about golf is that everybody wants to be helpful because it's so fucking hard. And so I would say to everybody out there who wants to be great at golf, just get some lessons. Get some lessons. And you can do that through our big boot camp with New Age Golf. Our co-director of golf, which is Paul Kerner, brilliant brother, graduate of University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, and current Bowie State Golf assistant coach. He's awesome.
I'm going to talk to you after this. There's a couple of people I know. We'll talk after this episode's over.
He's open. So, but yeah, I would say, like, if Jefferson Davis, like, if you want to get out there, just let me know, man, because I'm always down to play some golf.
I'll get out there. We'll talk about it right after this is over. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. Much love, man.
Episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. I know you like what you saw. So what I need for you to do is go back and look at past episodes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. And you can follow us on all social media at Just My Baby Daddy Pod.